What if the psychological games people play are not a sign of their power, but of their profound weakness? True dominance is not about playing the game better. It is about becoming the one person who is impossible to play. These are the moves to achieve that power. 10 Power Moves to Kill Manipulation Fast, Stoicism, compiled and published by Stoic Dominion. Lesson 1. Sense manipulation in the air. Imagine a seasoned mariner sailing through treacherous, fog-shrouded waters known for hidden reefs. The amateur sailor relies only on his eyes, and in the thick fog he is effectively blind, destined to crash upon the rocks he cannot see. The master mariner, however, has a different sense. He feels the subtle, almost imperceptible shift in the current against his hull. He notices the strange, unnatural silence of the seabirds. He can feel the presence of the unseen danger long before it is visible. His power is not in his sight, but in his highly attuned perception of the subtle signals in the air. This is the inner conflict we face when dealing with manipulators. We are often the amateur sailor, navigating the fog of social interaction. We listen to people's words, we see their smiles, and we take everything at face value. The problem is that manipulation is rarely an overt, visible threat. It is a hidden reef. It is the subtle current of a guilt trip, the unnatural silence of passive aggression, the strange atmospheric pressure of a backhanded compliment. Because we are not attuned to these signals, we sail directly into the trap, and we only realize we are in danger when our ship is already breaking apart on the rocks of their agenda. We are left feeling confused, used, and foolish, a victim of a danger we never saw coming. The first and most critical power move is to become the master mariner of your own social seas, to learn to sense manipulation in the air. This is the practice of developing a highly attuned intuition, a sixth sense, for the subtle, atmospheric signals of a toxic dynamic. The core Stoic principle here is that of Provoked, or vigilant, mindful attention. A Stoic warrior trains his mind to be a finely tuned instrument of perception. He is not just listening to the words, he is listening to the music behind the words. He is observing the emotional weather. He understands that a manipulative person almost always creates a subtle but palpable sense of offness in an interaction. There is a dissonance between their words and their energy. This feeling is your internal barometer, your most reliable instrument. By learning to trust and pay attention to this feeling, you can sense the hidden reef long before it ever appears on your radar. You can feel the change in the current and adjust your course to a position of safety and strength. To develop this powerful, intuitive sense, you must practice tuning your internal instruments. The first actionable step is to start valuing your gut feeling. For the next week, in every interaction you have, simply ask yourself at the end, how did that person's presence make me feel? Did I feel energized and respected, or did I feel slightly drained, confused, or on edge? Do not judge the feeling, just notice it. This is you, learning to read your barometer. The second step is to become a student of emotional incongruence. Pay close attention to when a person's body language or tone of voice does not match the warmth of their words. A forced smile, a compliment delivered with a slightly cold tone, or excessive praise that feels unearned, are all subtle signals that should put your inner mariner on high alert. The third step is to notice how you feel in your own body. Manipulation often triggers a subtle physical response in us. A slight tightening in the chest, a clenching in the stomach. Your body often knows you are in danger long before your conscious mind does. Learn to listen to its whispers. The benefits of learning to sense manipulation in the air are a profound increase in your personal safety and strategic advantage. You will stop sailing blindly into toxic dynamics. You will develop an almost supernatural ability to spot a disingenuous person from a mile away. This will save you immense amounts of time, energy, and heartache. You become the master mariner who can navigate the foggiest and most dangerous waters with a calm confidence. Not because he can see every rock, but because he has learned to feel their presence long before they become a threat. Your practice for this week is to simply trust your gut. If an interaction leaves you feeling off, do not dismiss that feeling. Honor it as valuable intelligence from your highly attuned inner navigator. Sensing the game is the first step, but a true warrior is not rattled when he discovers he is on a battlefield. He remains steady. Next, we will learn how to stay unshaken even when you know you are in the middle of a mind game. To continue this journey, please subscribe to Stoic Dominion. Lesson 2. Stay unshaken through mind games. Imagine a grandmaster of chess. He sits at the board, a picture of calm, focused intensity. His opponent, a clever but less disciplined player, begins to employ a series of psychological tricks. He makes condescending comments, he sighs dramatically after a good move, he even tries to rush the grandmaster's turn. He is not just playing chess, he is playing a mind game, trying to throw the grandmaster off balance and provoke an emotional, foolish reaction. The amateur player would fall for this. He would get angry, he would become flustered, and his carefully laid plans would crumble under the weight of his own emotional turmoil. The grandmaster, however, is unshaken. He sees the mind games for what they are, the desperate tactics of a weaker player. He does not react to them. He simply continues to play the board. This is the inner conflict we face once we have sensed that we are in the presence of a manipulator. We see the game, and our instinct to become emotionally invested in it. We feel a surge of anger at their audacity. We feel a wave of anxiety about what they will do next. And we become obsessed with trying to outsmart them. The problem is that the moment we become emotionally invested in their game, we have already lost. We have allowed their tactics to dictate our inner state. We have become the flustered amateur, and a flustered mind can never win at chess. The second power move is to become the grandmaster of your own mind, to learn to stay unshaken through mind games. This is the discipline of observing the manipulator's tactics with the cool, detached curiosity of a scientist while maintaining a state of profound inner calm. The core Stoic principle here is the ultimate power of the inner citadel. The Stoics taught that your reasoned mind is a fortress that no one can ever breach without your permission. A mind game is an attempt to trick you into lowering your own drawbridge. The insults, the guilt trips, the passive aggression, these are just siege engines firing harmless projectiles at your stone walls. A Stoic warrior does not get angry at the siege engine. He simply observes its flawed mechanics from the safety of his battlements. He understands that the manipulator's true target is not his position on the board. It is his inner peace. By refusing to surrender his inner peace, he makes all the manipulator's efforts utterly futile. To cultivate this grandmaster-level composure, you must drill your mental defenses. The first actionable step is to reframe the mind game as a form of entertainment. When you recognize a manipulative tactic, instead of feeling anger, try to feel a sense of detached amusement. See it as a clumsy, predictable move in a game you are already winning. This mental flip immediately dissolves the emotional charge. The second step is to focus on your breath as an anchor. The moment you feel the emotional pull of their game, bring your full attention to the physical sensation of one slow, deep breath. This grounds you in your own body and pulls your attention away from their board. The third step is to have a silent, empowering mantra ready. This is their game, not mine. My piece is not for sale. I am the board, not a piece. Repeat this to yourself. This reinforces your decision to remain the calm, observing intelligence in the room. The benefits of this practice are that you will become psychologically unshakable. Manipulators will find you incredibly frustrating to deal with because their primary weapons, emotional provocations, will have no effect on you. You will be able to think with absolute clarity in high-pressure situations, allowing you to see the logical flaws in their arguments and to make superior strategic decisions. You will feel a profound sense of your own power, the quiet, formidable power of the Grandmaster who cannot be rattled because he is playing a bigger and better game than his opponent. Your practice is to see one social interaction this week as a chess game. Your only goal is not to win, but to simply remain calm and observant of the other player's moves, without getting emotionally invested in them. When you can stay unshaken, you have protected your mind. The next move is to protect your position by controlling what you reveal. A wise man knows that in a battle of wits, silence is often the sharpest sword. Next, we will learn how to keep control by saying less. Please like this video if you are ready to become a grandmaster of your own mind. Lesson 3. Keep control by saying less. Imagine a besieged fortress. The attacking army, desperate for intelligence, sends a negotiator to the gates to parley with the fortress's commander. The attacker's goal is not to negotiate, but to get the commander to talk. He wants to know about the state of their food supplies, the morale of their soldiers, their strategic plans. The foolish commander, eager to display his confidence or to defend his honor, talks at length. He boasts, he argues, he reveals far more than he should. The wise commander, however, is a man of few words. He listens more than he speaks. His answers are short, precise, and reveal nothing that is not absolutely necessary. He understands that in a siege, information is power, and the side that says less controls more. This is the inner conflict we face when we are in a direct engagement with a manipulative person. Our instinct, driven by our ego and our anxiety, is to talk. We over-explain our decisions, we defend our position at length, and we feel a nervous compulsion to fill every moment of silence. The problem is that every word you speak is a potential weapon that can be used against you. The manipulator is listening intently, not to understand you, but to find your weaknesses, to gather intelligence, and to find ammunition for their next attack. By talking too much, you are arming your own enemy. The third power move is to become the wise commander and to learn to keep control by saying less. This is the strategic practice of using verbal economy as a tool of power and self-preservation. The core Stoic principle here is that a wise person is a disciplined one, and this discipline applies most stringently to the tongue. The Stoics were known for being terse, for using no more words than were absolutely necessary. They knew that uncontrolled speech is a sign of an uncontrolled mind. In a manipulative dynamic, saying less achieves several powerful objectives simultaneously. It prevents you from revealing valuable information. It communicates a powerful, unshakable confidence. You don't feel the need to justify your position. And it creates a vacuum of silence that the manipulator will often feel compelled to fill, causing them to reveal their own strategy and weaknesses. Your silence is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign that you are in complete control of your most powerful weapon, your own mind. To master this art of verbal economy, you must become a ruthless editor of your own speech. The first actionable step is to practice answering questions with a single, clear sentence whenever possible. Resist the urge to add long, rambling justifications. If they need more information, they will ask for it. The second step is to become comfortable with the conversational pause. When you have made your point, stop talking. Let a moment of silence hang in the air. This communicates finality and gives your words immense weight. The third step is to ask more questions and make fewer statements. When you are asking questions, you are in control of the conversation and you are gathering information. When you are making statements, you are giving it away. Shift the ratio in your favor. The benefits of saying less are a dramatic increase in your personal power and influence. You will stop making the unforced errors that come from nervous chatter. You will find that people listen much more carefully to you when you do speak because they know your words are rare and well considered. You will frustrate and disarm manipulators who will find it impossible to gather the intelligence they need to continue their games. You become the wise commander, whose quiet, disciplined presence on the battlefield is more formidable than any loudmouth general, because he knows that the true battle is won not through noise, but through superior information and control. Your practice for your next important conversation is to set a single goal, to make your points in half the number of words you normally would. Saying less forces you to rely on a more accurate source of intelligence. A wise king doesn't just listen to the words of his courtiers, he watches their actions. This is our next power move. Next, we will learn why you must watch their behavior, not just their words. To support our work, please subscribe to Stoic Dominion. Lesson 4. Watch behavior, not just words. Imagine you are the king of a great nation, and you are considering appointing a new general to lead your armies. Two candidates come before you. The first is a man of incredible eloquence. He speaks with passion and brilliance about his loyalty, his courage, and his strategic genius. His words paint a picture of the perfect general. The second candidate is a man of few words. He is not a great speaker, but he has brought with him a long, detailed record of his past battles, a consistent history of disciplined action, of difficult victories won, and of profound loyalty to his previous commanders. The foolish king would be seduced by the beautiful words of the first candidate. The wise Stoic king, however, would ignore the words entirely and study the record of the second. He knows that promises are cheap, but patterns of behavior are priceless. This is the inner conflict that makes us vulnerable to manipulators. We are the foolish king. We are seduced by people's words, their apologies, their promises to change, their declarations of love, even when those words are in direct contradiction to their long-standing pattern of behavior. The problem is that this is a form of willful blindness. We choose to believe the convenient lie of their words over the hard, uncomfortable truth of their actions. This sets us up for repeated disappointment and betrayal. We keep giving the eloquent but cowardly general control of our armies, and we are shocked when we keep losing battles. The fourth dominant rule is to become the wise king and learn to watch behavior, not just words. This is the discipline of making a person's consistent, long-term pattern of action the only source of data you will trust when assessing their character. The core Stoic principle here is that a person's character is their actions. As Epictetus taught, you should not call yourself a philosopher just because you read books. You are a philosopher only when you embody the philosophy in your deeds. A manipulator is often a master of words, but they are a novice in the world of consistent, virtuous action. Their entire strategy relies on you believing their words more than you believe your own eyes. The Stoic warrior reverses this. He becomes slightly deaf to what people say and develops an incredibly sharp eye for what they do. He trusts the data of their behavior, especially when it is inconvenient, over the poetry of their promises. To become this astute observer of character, you must train yourself to be an evidence-based thinker. The first actionable step is to adopt the ledger system in your mind. For any important person in your life, imagine a ledger with two columns, words and actions. Make a conscious effort to pay more attention to logging the entries in the actions column. The second step is to trust the pattern, especially when it comes to apologies. A single mistake, followed by a sincere apology and a genuine change in behavior, is one thing. A repeated pattern of the same mistake followed by the same apology is a manipulative loop, and the apologies are meaningless. The only valid apology is changed behavior. The third step is to conduct character references by observing how they treat others. The way a person treats a waiter, a subordinate, or a stranger is often a more accurate reflection of their true character than how they treat you, especially in the early stages of a relationship. The benefits of this practice are that you will develop an almost superhuman ability to see people for who they truly are, not for who they pretend to be. You will stop being a victim of broken promises and repeated betrayals. You will build a life and an inner circle populated only by people whose actions have proven them to be worthy of your trust. You become the wise king, whose armies are always victorious because he has learned to appoint his generals based not on the quality of their speeches, but on the undeniable evidence of their past battles. Your practice is to choose one person in your life. For 1 week, make a commitment to completely ignore their words and to only observe their actions. At the end of the week, what does the evidence say about their true character? When you can see the truth of a person's character, you are better prepared to defend yourself against their attempts to invade your mind. This leads to our next power move. Next, we will learn how to block their emotional invasions instantly. If you value truth over talk, please like this video. Lesson 5. Block emotional invasions instantly. Imagine your mind is a serene, well-ordered, and peaceful kingdom. A manipulative person, unable to conquer your kingdom with a direct, logical assault, resorts to a different kind of warfare, emotional siege weaponry. They begin to hurl massive, flaming projectiles of emotion over your walls. They launch the catapult of guilt, the trebuchet of pity, and the battering ram of fear. The untrained ruler, seeing these fiery projectiles arcing through the air, panics. He allows them to land within his city, where they set fire to his buildings and create chaos among his citizens. His inner kingdom is thrown into turmoil, not by an invading army, but by his failure to defend against these emotional projectiles. This is the inner conflict we face against a manipulator's primary weapons. They know that a direct, rational request will likely be denied. So, they wrap the request in an emotional bomb. You wouldn't want me to be all alone, would you? Pity. A good son would help his mother. Guilt. The problem is that we often feel defenseless against these attacks. We see the emotional projectile coming, and we just stand there and let it hit us. Once the emotion of guilt or pity has landed in our kingdom, it is very difficult to think clearly and to act in our own best interests. The fifth dominant rule is to become a master of psychological defense and learn to block emotional invasions instantly. This is the practice of identifying and neutralizing an emotional projectile while it is still in the air, before it can ever land and cause damage within your walls. The core Stoic principle here is that of the inner citadel. Your rational mind is a fortress. The emotions of others and the emotional appeals they make are external forces. They only have power over you if you let them inside your gates. A Stoic warrior trains himself to be a vigilant sentinel on the walls of his own mind. He learns to see the flaming projectile of a guilt trip coming from a mile away. But instead of panicking, he calmly raises his shield of reason and lets the projectile glance off, its fiery energy dissipating harmlessly. He does not allow the enemy's fire to become his own. To become this master of defense, you must drill your anti-emotional warfare tactics. The first actionable step is to label the projectile mid-flight. The moment you hear a manipulative, emotion-laden statement, you must mentally name the tactic. That is a guilt trip. That is an appeal to pity. That is a veiled threat. This act of labeling is an act of rational analysis that immediately puts you in the position of the defender, not the victim. The second step is to have a deflector shield phrase ready. This is a calm, neutral response that deflects the emotional component and focuses only on the practical one. For example, to the guilt trip, a good son would help his mother. You do not argue about whether you are a good son. You deflect that part and respond only to the implied request. What is it, specifically, that you need help with? This strips the weapon of its emotional poison. The third step is to refuse to take responsibility for their emotions. A manipulator will often make their happiness your problem. You must gently but firmly hand it back to them. A powerful phrase is, "I understand that you are feeling upset, and that is for you to manage. Let's talk about the practical issue at hand." The benefits of this practice are that you will become immune to the most common and powerful forms of manipulation. You will no longer be controlled by feelings of unearned guilt or a misplaced sense of obligation. Your decisions will be clear, rational, and based on your own values, not on the emotional bombs being lobbed at you. You become the king of a peaceful and well-defended kingdom, who stands on his walls and watches the enemy's siege weapons fire their projectiles, completely unconcerned, because he knows his shield of reason is impenetrable. Your practice is to listen for one of these emotional projectiles this week. Your only job is to silently label the tactic in your mind the moment you hear it. Blocking the projectile is a powerful defense, but an even more advanced move is to make yourself a target that cannot be hit at all. This requires a deeper level of stillness. Next, we will learn how to make your non-reaction your ultimate shield. Please subscribe to Stoic Dominion to build your defenses. Lesson 6. Make no reaction your shield. Imagine a master martial artist, a practitioner of a style like Aikido. An aggressive opponent charges at him with a wild, powerful punch. The novice fighter would try to meet this force with equal force, resulting in a clumsy, brutal collision. The master of Aikido does something different. He does not resist the force at all. He becomes a calm, centered void. At the last moment, he makes a small, subtle shift, and the attacker's own aggressive momentum carries him stumbling past, his punch hitting nothing but empty air. The master has won the fight without throwing a single punch. He has made his non-reaction his ultimate defense. This is the inner conflict we face when a manipulator directs a direct, provocative attack at us. They are throwing a punch. Our instinct is to react, to defend, to argue, to counterattack. The problem is that our reaction is exactly what they want. They want to engage us in a struggle. They want us to meet their force with our own. By reacting, we are giving them a solid target to hit. We are entering into their clumsy, brutal dance, and even if we win, we will walk away bruised and depleted. The sixth dominant rule is to become a master of mental aikido and to learn to make no reaction your shield. This is the advanced practice of meeting a direct provocation with a profound and deliberate stillness. It is the art of becoming the calm void into which their aggression disappears. The core Stoic principle here is that the greatest revenge, as Marcus Aurelius wrote, is to be unlike the person who has wronged you. They are emotional, they are reactive, they are out of control. Your greatest victory is to be the opposite, calm, composed, and in absolute control of yourself. When you refuse to react to their provocation, you are not being passive. You are executing a highly advanced defensive maneuver. You are refusing to give them a target. You are letting their own aggressive energy defeat them. Your stillness is not an absence of action. It is a profound and powerful action in itself. To master this art of non-reaction, you must cultivate an unshakable inner center. The first actionable step is to practice the internal nod. When the provocation comes, you mentally acknowledge it. I see what you are doing. I see the punch you are throwing. This proves you are not oblivious. You are simply choosing not to engage. The second step is to maintain a calm, neutral, and slightly impassive facial expression. This is your poker face. It gives the manipulator no data. They cannot tell if their punch has landed or not, and this uncertainty is deeply unsettling for them. The third and most powerful step is to calmly and gently change the subject, or to ask a completely unrelated, disarming question. This is the subtle shift that sends them stumbling past you. For example, after a long, angry tirade, you can pause and then calmly ask, "Did you happen to see the game last night?" This move is so unexpected and so dismissive of their attack that it often completely shatters their frame. The benefits of making non-reaction your shield are that you will become almost completely immune to direct, provocative attacks. Manipulators will find it impossible to draw you into their dramas. You will preserve 100% of your emotional energy while they exhaust themselves punching at empty air. You will gain a reputation as a person of immense, almost mystical composure and power. You become the Aikido master, who wins every fight by refusing to participate in a fight. His opponents are defeated not by his strength, but by his profound and immovable calm. Your practice for this week is to let one small provocation, a rude comment, an aggressive driver, go by without any internal or external reaction. Simply see the punch and let it fly past you into the empty air. This non-reaction is what breaks the manipulator's script. It is an unexpected move that shatters their entire game. Next, we will explore this idea further. In our final lesson before the conclusion, we will learn how your stillness can break their script completely. Please like and share this video if you found this useful. Lesson 7. Break their script with stillness. Imagine a stage play where two actors are performing a dramatic scene. The first actor delivers his angry, provocative line with great passion. He is expecting a specific, equally angry response from the second actor, which is written in the script. But the second actor, a master of his craft, does something completely unexpected. Instead of delivering his scripted line, he simply looks at the first actor with a calm, curious, and silent gaze. The play grinds to a halt. The first actor is thrown completely off balance. He has no line to respond to. He is left alone on stage with his own empty, ridiculous anger. The entire reality of the scene has been shattered by one actor's refusal to play his part. This is the inner conflict we are in with a manipulator. They have a script in their head. The script says, if I say this provocative thing, A, he will get defensive and angry, B, and then I can play the victim and get what I want, C. They know your lines better than you do. The problem is that we almost always follow the script. We deliver our angry, defensive lines right on cue. We play our part in their drama perfectly, and we are surprised when the play always ends the same way, with them in control. The seventh dominant rule is to become the master actor and learn to break their script with your stillness. This is the power move of refusing to say your lines. It is the conscious and deliberate choice to respond to a predictable provocation with an unpredictable and composed silence. The core Stoic idea is that of rational independence. A Stoic is not an actor in someone else's play. He is the author and director of his own. He refuses to have his lines and his actions dictated by the provocations of others. By meeting a scripted, manipulative line with a calm, observant stillness, you are breaking the fourth wall. You are stepping out of the play and revealing it for the artificial and predictable drama that it is. Your stillness is not just a pause. It is a complete rewrite of the scene. The manipulator is left on stage alone, their script in tatters, their character exposed. To become this master of improvisation, you must learn to recognize the script and have the courage to go off-book. The first actionable step is to identify the recurring scenes in your life. What are the predictable, toxic conversations that you have over and over again with certain people? Recognize the script. This is the scene where she criticizes my choices and I get defensive. The second step is to make the conscious decision before the scene begins that you will not deliver your usual lines. Your only goal is to respond with something completely different, and the most powerful, different response is calm silence. The third step is to embrace the awkwardness. When you break the script, the other person will be thrown into a state of confusion. The silence will feel awkward. You must have the strength to sit in that awkwardness without flinching. That awkwardness is the sound of the old toxic dynamic breaking apart. The benefits of this practice are that you will permanently dismantle the manipulative games in your life. The manipulator will learn that their old scripts no longer work on you, and they will be forced to either disengage or to attempt a more authentic form of communication. You will feel an incredible sense of freedom and creative power in your interactions. You are no longer a puppet reading from a script. You are the author of your own story. You become the master actor, whose greatest performance is his refusal to perform, whose powerful stillness can shatter the false reality of any scene and reveal the truth. Your practice is to identify one of these recurring scripted dramas in your life. The next time it begins, your only mission is to break the script. Do not say your usual lines. Meet the provocation with calm, observant silence and watch what happens. When you have mastered these 7 dominant rules, you have become a formidable force. You have built an inner kingdom that is strong, prosperous, and most importantly, free. But a true king is not just a warrior. He is a leader who radiates a certain kind of energy. Next, we will explore the final state of a Stoic warrior, how to lead the energy in the room through your silence. We are nearing the end of our journey, and I thank you for your commitment. Lesson 8. Lead the energy in silence. Imagine a chaotic meeting room. People are arguing, voices are raised, and the energy is a frantic, anxious mess. Then, the true leader of the group, who has been sitting silently at the head of the table, simply clears his throat. He doesn't speak. He just makes a small, calm sound, and the entire room falls silent. All eyes turn to him. He has not demanded attention. His silent, centered presence has commanded it. He has not added to the chaos. His stillness has absorbed it and transformed it. He is leading the energy of the entire room without saying a single word. This is the inner conflict between trying to control a room and learning to lead it. The amateur leader tries to control the room by being the loudest person in it. He talks over others, he forcefully asserts his own agenda, and he tries to match and overcome the chaotic energy with his own. The problem is that this just adds more noise to an already noisy environment. He becomes just another part of the problem. He is trying to lead the orchestra by smashing his own cymbals louder than anyone else. The eighth dominant rule is to become the silent conductor and learn to lead the energy in silence. This is the highest and most subtle of the power moves. It is the understanding that the person with the most stable, most grounded, and most centered inner state will inevitably become the energetic leader of any group. The core Stoic principle here is that the well-ordered mind, the hegemonikon, has a natural and powerful influence on its environment. Just as a large planet's gravity naturally organizes the orbits of smaller bodies around it, a person of deep inner stillness and order naturally organizes the chaotic energy of the people around them. Your calm is not just a defense, it is an active, influential force. You do not need to fight the anxious energy in the room. You simply need to hold your own center so firmly that your calm becomes the strongest gravitational force present. The other energies will naturally begin to fall into orbit around it. To become this silent leader, you must become the master of your own energetic state. The first actionable step is to practice grounding before you enter a room. Before any important meeting or social gathering, take 60 seconds to stand or sit with your feet firmly on the floor. Feel your connection to the earth. Take several deep, slow breaths and consciously relax your body. Your goal is to enter the room already in a state of profound calm. The second step is to hold your center during the interaction. As the energy of others becomes chaotic, you must use all your Stoic tools to maintain your own inner stillness. Focus on your breath. Observe your own emotions without attachment. Your only job is to be the calmest, most stable person in the room. The third step is to use minimal, powerful interventions. You do not need to give a speech. A simple, well-timed, clarifying question delivered from a place of calm can be enough to completely shift the energy of a frantic conversation. The benefits of this practice are that you will become a person of immense, almost unconscious influence. You will find that you can de-escalate conflicts and guide conversations with minimal effort. People will seek out your presence because they feel calmer and more centered around you. You will be perceived as a natural leader, not because you are loud, but because you are the solid, reliable anchor point in any storm. You become the silent conductor who can bring an entire orchestra to a state of perfect harmony with a single, small, and graceful gesture, because his own soul is a masterpiece of perfect harmony. Your practice is to enter your next group interaction with a single, silent goal, to be the calmest person in the room. Just focus on your own inner state and observe the effect it has on others. This calm, anchored presence is the ultimate defense against the provocations of the world. It is a sign of a mind that is so firmly rooted in its own principles that no external force can shake it. This leads us to our next lesson. Next, we will learn how to stay rooted when you are provoked hard. Please like this video if you are ready to lead with calm. Lesson 9. Stay rooted when provoked hard. Imagine the great ancient oak tree we have spoken of before. It has endured gentle breezes and fierce gales, but now it is faced with the storm of the century, a hurricane of unimaginable force. The wind tears at its branches with a personal, malevolent fury. A weaker tree, one with shallow roots, would be torn from the earth and destroyed. But the ancient oak has spent its entire life on this hill, and in response to 1,000 lesser storms, it has driven its roots deeper and deeper, wrapping them around the very bedrock of the mountain. When the hurricane hits, it groans, it sheds its leaves, it may even lose a major branch, but its core, its trunk, its connection to the earth does not break. It stays rooted. This is the inner conflict we face when we are not just tested, but when we are provoked hard. This is the deep insult from a loved one, the profound betrayal, the unjust and severe attack on our character. This is the hurricane. The problem is that all our training can feel like it vanishes in the face of such a powerful storm. The provocation is so personal, so painful, that it threatens to bypass all our defenses and uproot the very foundation of our being. The ninth dominant rule is to become the ancient oak and learn to stay rooted when provoked hard. This is the ultimate test of your Stoic practice. It is the ability to call upon your deepest reserves of strength and to anchor yourself so firmly in your core principles that even the most violent emotional storm cannot break you. The core Stoic idea is that the size of the challenge does not matter. The strength of your character does. The Stoics were not untested theorists. They faced exile, persecution, and death. Their philosophy was forged in the heart of the hurricane. They taught that it is precisely in these hardest moments that our principles are most valuable. Your values are your deep roots. When the winds of a great provocation are trying to tear you from your sanity, you must consciously and deliberately wrap the roots of your mind around the bedrock of your most fundamental beliefs. My worth is internal. This is external to me. I will act with virtue, no matter what. These are not just affirmations. They are the life-saving anchors in the storm of the century. To stay rooted in the hurricane, you must have drilled your emergency protocols until they are bone deep. The first actionable step is to immediately drop your physiological anchor. The moment the hard provocation hits, your first move, before any thought, must be to your breath. A long, slow exhale is the most powerful signal you can send to your panicking nervous system. It is the act of the tree gripping the earth. The second step is to cling to your single most powerful principle. In a hurricane, you cannot afford the luxury of complex philosophical debate. You must have one simple, ironclad principle to hold on to. It could be, virtue is the only good, or control what you can control. Repeat this one phrase in your mind like a mantra, a lifeline in the storm. The third step is to focus on the smallest possible virtuous action. Don't think about how you will survive the whole storm. Just think, what is the one small, courageous, or temperate thing I can do in the next 10 seconds? This could be as simple as not speaking or unclenching your fists. Focus on the one route you can control right now. The benefits of this practice are the attainment of a truly unbreakable spirit. You will discover a strength within yourself that you never knew existed. You will prove to yourself that your character is not a fair-weather phenomenon, but an all-weather reality. The respect you will gain for yourself after successfully navigating such a storm will be more profound than any praise you could ever receive from others. You become the ancient oak on the hill, a living testament to the enduring power of deep roots. You become a source of awe and inspiration, a symbol of what the human spirit is capable of when it is anchored in unshakable principle. Your practice is to identify your single most important hurricane-proof principle. What is the one core belief you will cling to when the hardest storm of your life hits? Know your anchor. When you can stay rooted even in the hurricane, you have achieved a level of mastery that gives you the ultimate power. The power to leave the battlefield on your own terms. In our final lesson, we will explore the art of walking away without losing your power. Please subscribe to our channel to complete your training in Stoic Dominion. Lesson 10. Walk away without losing power. Imagine a wise king who has successfully defended his kingdom against a long and foolish siege. The enemy is exhausted, their tactics have failed, and they are in disarray. The foolish king, driven by his ego, would now press his advantage. He would sally forth from his gates, chase the retreating army, and try to inflict a final, humiliating blow. The wise Stoic king, however, recognizes that the war is already won. The victory was in the successful defense of his own kingdom. Chasing a defeated foe is a waste of resources, a dangerous extension of the conflict, and an act of ego, not of strategy. His most powerful move now is to do nothing. He simply turns his back on the retreating enemy and focuses his attention on the peace and prosperity of his own kingdom. He walks away from the war. This is the final and most difficult inner conflict we face with manipulators and toxic people. Even after we have disarmed them, even after we have proven that their games have no power over us, our ego can still want the last word. We want them to admit they were wrong. We want them to apologize. We want to deliver a final crushing blow to their argument. The problem is that this desire to win keeps us engaged in the battle. It keeps us tethered to them. We are the king who is chasing a defeated army, and in doing so, we are still allowing them to dictate our direction. The 10th and final power move is to become the wise king and learn to walk away without losing power. This is the ultimate display of dominance and freedom. It is the understanding that you have already won the only victory that matters, the victory over your own reactivity. The core Stoic principle here is that the wise person knows when a battle is over and when to conserve his energy for his own purpose. To continue to engage with a manipulator after you have disarmed them is to honor them with your most precious resource, your attention. A Stoic king knows his attention is better spent on building his own kingdom than on gloating over a defeated enemy. Walking away is not a sign of weakness. It is the ultimate sign of strength. It is a silent declaration that says, "This is over. You no longer have a place in my world or in my mind. I have more important things to do." To execute this final powerful move, you must be the master of your own purpose. The first actionable step is to define your victory conditions internally. Your victory is not their apology or their admission of defeat. Your victory is maintaining your own composure and acting with virtue. The moment you have done that, you have won, and you are free to leave the field. The second step is to practice the art of the last word silence. Let them have the last petty, verbal jab. Do not respond. Your silence is the true final word, and it is a word they cannot argue with. The third step is to aggressively pivot your focus. The moment you walk away physically, you must also walk away mentally. Immediately and deliberately pour all of your attention into a productive, positive activity that is related to your own purpose. This starves the memory of the conflict of the oxygen of your attention. The benefits of mastering the art of walking away are total and complete liberation. You will free yourself not only from the manipulator, but from your own ego's need to win petty battles. You will conserve immense amounts of energy and focus, which you can now dedicate to building the magnificent life you desire. You will achieve a state of profound peace, the peace of a king who is so focused on the prosperity of his own kingdom that the squabbles on his borders are a distant and irrelevant noise. You become the king who has not just won the war, but has transcended the very need for it. His power is so absolute that he can simply turn his back on his enemies and walk toward his own bright future. Your final practice is a commitment. The next time you find yourself in a pointless, draining argument, even if you are winning, make the powerful choice to be the one to walk away. To disarm a manipulator is not to learn a set of clever tricks. It is to become a person of such profound inner strength, clarity, and self-possession that their games can find no purchase. It is the victory of character over chaos. Thank you for your dedication to this journey of self-mastery. The discipline to build and rule your own inner kingdom is the noblest work a man can undertake, and it is the only path to true freedom and power. If this guide has provided you with value, please like the video, comment with the power move that was most impactful for you, and subscribe to Stoic Dominion for more strategies on building an unshakable life.